Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Indigo Diamond here with another video. Here to talk about the latest episode of All Stars Season 7, also known as the All Winners Season. What episode is it today? Episode 5? Episode 5? Already? Doesn't seem right. Maybe it is. Must be. I don't know. Before we get into that, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video, and tell me down below who are you rooting for. I am still Team Jinkx all the way. Hashtag Team Jinkx. Hashtag will not change. So this week's episode was the public speaking episode, essentially. They had to do a Draguation speech, which was both comedic and heartfelt at the same time. Honestly, no one bombed. Like, no one was like, oh my god, what is this? This is awkward. Everyone did okay. Some did much better than others. I will say Monet's was a bit it was alright. I feel like she relied heavily on kind of like sexual innuendos and stuff. Shea Coulee's was fine, but she did kind of like confuse me at one point because what she said didn't really work. So she mentioned how she was popular at school and she was popular now. And then when she kind of went to like a more heartfelt bit, she was saying about how at one point she just got up and she went to the middle of the canteen and sat at the cool kids table. And it was kind of like, but if you were always cool, then that doesn't really work, does it? Because you were always cool, so sitting at the cool kids table doesn't really... It's not like this big, oh my god, like the geek went and sat at the cool kids table. Yvie Oddly's again was fine. It was alright. Trinity the Tux I really enjoyed. She had some funny moments about some self-deprecating humour about the fact that she was needed extra support with things like math and writing and stuff like that. And, you know, she went very heartfelt on, like, moments about how she had to, like, leave to help her, was it her grandmother, who was seriously ill. So Trinity had a really good run for me. Jaida was brilliant. Again, like, they mentioned on the judging panel the fact that she used the word bitch. But it was, like... Because like a lot of people in comedy could use that as like a crutch, but she managed not to. And I agree. I actually didn't even notice that she used, excuse me, the word that much, which was great because obviously you don't want to notice that someone's using that sort of word as a crutch. Very funny, but Jaida is naturally quite funny. I feel like she's been able to kind of step into that a lot more this season. Which is nice. She just seems to be kind of like having fun with it, which is great to see. I love Jaida. You know, there was a reason why I wanted her to win her season. And, you know, there's a reason I'm very glad to see her back for this season. I think she's doing a phenomenal job. The Vivienne very much played a character. She was a drunk. And it was funny. She stayed in character the entire time. I feel... that there wasn't any like necessarily like authentic moments. Like it was all I'm playing a character, I'm doing a bit. There was nothing that felt like, oh, this is, you know, this is a nice moment or this is like an actual thing. It was just, yeah, I'm drunk the entire time. It was a very good character. It was funny. I felt like there was a personal touch missing. Raja, who was one of our top 2 this week, finally getting her first legendary legend star, and she again did kind of play a character. She was playing sort of like a sorceress, like a soothsayer. Oh, God, nearly falling over. I really liked Raja's. I thought Raja's was quite funny. Raja and Jinkx were the 2 that I sort of laughed at the most. I don't know, I feel like Raja very much did this challenge as only Raja could. Like, she took this challenge and she was like, this is how I would do it, this is what I'm doing. And it worked. It was funny, you know. Yeah, it was just good. I very much enjoyed it. And the other top two of the week, if you hadn't guessed, was Jinkx. Jinxie back in the top again. Now this time finally getting her second legendary legend star. Very well deserved. I definitely think, she started off by being like, she was speaking at the wrong school. She was supposed to be at like, a wizarding school. She had to like flick through her cards because she was like, let's try and find some things that can work for like both. It was very funny. We did get some, as funny as Jinkx's were, there were some like very serious moments that she did kind of manage to work in there without them necessarily coming off as being like super serious, which was nice because it was kind of like that nice interjection. So she was, talking about trauma and, how we need to get through trauma and how to deal with trauma sort of thing, which was nice. And she went through this story about how she got hit by a car in Amsterdam. That was like obviously like traumatic in that as well. Great moment with the judging panel where RuPaul said that he was the one that was driving that car. Great. Very, very good. I will say on a side note with the judging panel, so the guest judge, whose name I can't remember, she's a comedian. I don't think I've really seen her in anything before. With her hair the way it was and the outfit she was wearing on the judging panel, I don't know if any of you guys got this. All I could see was Celine Dion. Like a younger Celine Dion is all that I could see. And as soon as I first saw that, couldn't unsee it. So the entire time, every time I went to her, I was like, oh, Celine Dion's here. It's like, no, it's not Celine Dion. It's not Celine Dion at all. Yeah, it was awkward. Now, the runway theme for this week, don't know why my brain decided to mess up then. The runway theme for this week was Veiled It. So essentially like a veiled runway. My favourite Veiled It was Jinkx. Which is like this lovely lavender with like flowers everywhere, and she had this illusion of butterflies, carrying the veil at the back as well. It was very nice. Raja did a great job for this as well, I think, as did Jaida. Jaida looked amazing. Did anyone else stand out to me for this runway? Trinity's, I did love Trinity's, but Trinity's Trinity for the most part. She's pretty good with the look, so it's not really a surprise there. But again, in red, a lot of people have drawn comparisons to her latex look for the Wheel of Fortune ball. Something like that. But yeah, another great week for Trinity. Another good week for Trinity. But yeah, Raja, Jinkx were the top two. They got to lip sync against each other. Now, for me, clearly the winner was Jinkx, and Jinkx did win the lip sync. Raja, I don't know what was going on, whether she didn't want to win the lip sync or I don't know. She just seemed to more or less just stay in one spot for the entire song, which would have been fine if that was a song that would have worked for. This song, not so much. This was one that you definitely had to kind of move about a bit for. So yeah, I'm not sure about that, but it was nice to see Raja finally get her win. So Jinkx wins the lip sync and she blocks Vivienne. What I do like though is she gave the plunger to Vivienne and went, I hope you take this as the compliment I mean it to be. Which is, yeah, I mean, being given the plunger, as annoying as it is, in theory, it is technically a compliment, because it's like the person that's giving it to you sees you as competition, and, clearly that's why they're blocking you. Now, I think as much as it was a compliment, I do also think part of it was the fact that Vivienne had said that the person she wanted to block was Jinkx from last week, but obviously Jinkx couldn't be blocked because she had been in the top two. So, yeah, I don't know. They say about how, like, Jinkx and the Vivienne, they're kind of, like, creating, like, a frenemy sort of thing because they sort of do the same thing. And I was sat there and was like, maybe to a certain extent. But honestly, like, out of the two, I feel like Jinkx is clearly the better one. Just me. I feel like I should be, like, backing the Vivienne more because she's from the UK. I feel like I should be, but I'm just like, no, just, Jinkx is... Yeah, I think Jinkx is just I've always resonated with Jinkx, like what she does. Like, you know, she's a great singer, she's a great comedian, well, actress, comedian, you know, and, you know, I would love to be an actress, comedian. Not a comedian. I do funny things, I'm not funny. There's a difference. An actress and singer, those two mold together, that's what I want to do. So I think for me, I don't know, just it's always resonated more with Jinkx than it has with Vivienne. I've never seen Vivienne and Jinkx so much as similar things. Like, I would draw more comparison to Davina and Jinkx than Vivienne and Jinkx. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. What do you think? Just me, or do you see it too? Yeah, so Vivienne gets blocked. We don't, however, so they did mention this week that whoever wins, each queen that wins this week's challenge, oh my god, can't speak, gets 2 stars, one for themselves and one to give away. So there's 2 stars that are to be given away, one by Raja and one by Jinkx. Now, we don't know who they're being given to. We haven't heard, and from the looks of it next week, at the start of next week anyway, you know, the other queens are kind of like talking to them going, oh, do you know who you're going to give your star to, sort of thing. So, yeah, we will see. I don't know who they would give one to, whether they'd give one to Yvie just because Yvie hasn't got one yet. So at least one of them will go to Yvie. Whether Jinkx and Raja will talk to each other about it, you know, will they sort of like be like, oh, well, if I give one to such and such, you know, and you give one to such and such, it kind of spreads it out, or whether they'll be like, oh, well, we'll give both to one person. I don't know. I don't see them giving them both to one person, just because then instantly that person, if it's Yvie, that she'll be on 2, anyone else they'll go up to 3, so they'll be on more stars than Jinkx. And obviously you don't want them to be on more stars than you. And I'm pretty sure they can't give them to themselves, so I don't know. We will see. I am very intrigued to find out what's going to happen with that. Next week they're doing like a girl group again. So that's going to be interesting, because they're sort of like doing like a pop girl group. I love Jinkx to pieces, and Jinkx is a great singer. Pop group? I don't know. I mean, she did great in the first challenge. I really enjoyed her in the first challenge, so, you know, maybe she'll come in and slay it. Vivienne, I don't know, because obviously when she did a girl group on UK, she flopped and she was in the bottom. She did well in the final episode when they did that, but they weren't necessarily a girl group. They were sort of like the 3 of them trying to stand out. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like Monet and Shea could do quite well in next week's challenge. You know, both great with vocals. And obviously, like, Shea Coulee All Stars 5, she was in the top for the I'm in Love challenge. So, yeah, I think they could do quite well. I think Trinity could if she actually knows the words to what she's doing. Yvie, I'm not so sure. Jaida, I think, could do well. It depends how her vocals sound and stuff like that. So, Raja, again, I'm not sure about how Raja would do. We'll see. We'll see. It'll be fine. It'll probably be a good episode. Every episode's been great so far, so I'm not expecting next week to slow it down. That is all we have for today, because that was the episode. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and like the video. Tell me down below, who are you rooting for? Are you Team Jinkx? If you're not Team Jinkx, who are you team for? Yeah, whose team are you on? Jesus. Yeah, let me know down below. I'd be very intrigued to see what everyone's thinking, because I can imagine, you know, considering they're all winners, then a lot of them have very, you know, different types of drag compared to the others. So it'd be intriguing to see who everyone picks and maybe why they're rooting for that person. But until then, I will see you next week. I'm Indigo Diamond, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. See ya!